And in fact, before we get settled, sorry, I should have said this a moment ago, but let's press play on the playlist. I think it will be nice to not be disrupted by having to fiddle around with technology. It's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? So I'm pressing play on my music. For this one, I'd probably say don't put it on shuffle actually. You know, if it is, whatever, but it might be nice to let it go through in order because I kind of pieced it together. All right, close down your eyes. Just take a couple of moments to land. Just sitting quietly with nowhere else to be. And whilst I, really couldn't help myself diving into the, conversations about the moon, this practice really is about letting go the need to be, intellectual or cognitive, to think about any particular theme, philosophy, but rather just to be here, just to actually be here. Such a rarity in modern day to find those moments where we're genuinely present. And it starts right now. It starts right now in this moment. I find it useful to notice breathing. You might pay attention to breath. And just notice the tingling sensation in and around your body. Might it be possible to let this moment be washed over with almost a sense of joy? Whatever else is going on, could this moment just be this moment in all of its mystical wonder? And so all together, let's take a long and deep breath in through the nose. And just let it fall out of your mouth. One more like that, breathing in slowly and deeply. Breathing out long and full. And without blinking the eyes open just yet, notice the way that the breath affects your body. For me, I notice that the tingling is a little more apparent. Perhaps it's a heightened sensitivity. And then when the moment feels right, you'll begin to slowly blink open your eyes. We'll move into the first shape of the practice, which will be butterfly pose. So if you know that, in your forward folding, if the backs of your legs or your hips are a little tight and that you tend to kind of hunch over, then you might like to stay elevated up onto something, whether it's a rolled up blanket under the hips or your mat rolled up, or you could stay up on your bolster. I'm going to come down onto the floor because my hips are pretty flexy and I would like to use the bolster between my legs. So butterfly shape, we bring the soles of the feet to touch. We diamond the knees out towards the sides. And then, the yin practice really is about ultimate comfort. So I'll invite you to utilize the props that you have in order to kind of find a shape that allows you to rest for a couple of minutes. So we'll start just by sitting upright and we can add on as we go. But again, you might like to close down your eyes and just become aware of breathing and the length of your spine. And then in the next moment or so, you'll just start to fold your body forwards towards your feet. And then just listen to the body. What does it need? Does it need a little more support? If you're sort of feeling that the knees might need a little more support, you could slide blocks or books underneath your knees. Or if you lean towards a cushion, you might like to take your blocks and stack them so that your forehead has something to rest onto. And keeping the arms relaxed here, I'll encourage you to have your palms facing up towards the sky. For those of you who are a little less familiar with the yin practice, we hold each posture for anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. So the first step of every shape is to find an appropriate level of sensation. So something in which you can feel the aliveness inside of your body, the hips, the legs, but not so intense that it won't allow you to stay here and hold. And so take the time that you need to find the shape that is the most appropriate for your body in this moment. And commit to pausing there. Rather than striving for the deepest opening, go for the softest. And close your eyes and just become aware of breath moving in and out of your body. And see how effortlessly you could breathe. Notice the origins of breathing. Whereabouts in your body is the breath initiated? At what point does it reach the top? And at what point does it empty to the bottom? Keep following the journey of the breath from empty to full, and then back to empty. This effortless journey of life pulsing in and around your body, dancing on the edges of your nostrils. And even as sensation grows inside of your body, notice your capacity to stay still and to observe just what's happening in this moment. Resist the urge to fidget or move. Just be here. And then see if you could take the final 3 breaths all the way into your lower back, the kidneys, expanding circumferentially the front, the back, the sides, following the journey of your breath. And then very, very, very slowly, taking your time, you'll begin to walk your way up and out of the shape. Any props that you might have used, keep them within reach, but just pop them to the side for a moment. And we'll take just a moment to rebound, so extend both of your legs forwards in front of you. You could take the hands back behind you and rest back onto the arms. And feel the fresh pulse of life move through your legs. The more subtle energy channels of the body opening, freeing, allowing everything to move more easily. And moving into the second shape will be dragonfly pose. So you'll keep the same seat here. If you're up onto something, stay up. And it's just like a wide-legged forward fold. So you'll spread the legs away from one another. If you're a little tighter through the hamstrings, a nice little tip is to slide blocks or something of the like underneath your knees so that the legs can stay a little soft. Alternatively, straighten the legs. You can keep the feet a little floppy. And I like to have the bolster as something to lean into. But customize, have a play around with your props. You know, you might take a couple of cushions to build something a little higher. You know, maybe there's no props at all tonight. Maybe you're just working with gravity in the earth. Before we fold forward, sitting up nice and tall, letting the breath move freely into the torso. And then when you're ready, very slowly begin to creep your way forward into just some sort of fold. It might just be 5%, it might be 20, 50%. What's important here is that you begin to identify appropriate boundaries. I know in my yin practice, I used to, push myself into the deepest stretch. Yet often in times like these, it can do more harm than good to push the body beyond its limits. The yin practice really is less about the larger muscular openings and more about the subtler tissues of the body. And we access these in more subtle ways. We won't be here for as long in this shape as we were the previous shape. So you might notice already that the body has allowed you a little more space, in which case you might choose to fold a little more deeply. Maybe you have something to support the weight of your head. You know, even if your mind in this moment is spinning, ticking, trailing into thoughts, let it be. There's nothing to resist here. You might even notice that in the process of allowing, there's an organic emptying. Arriving at a quiet space inside that perhaps you weren't even aware of. And again, taking the final 3 breaths all the way into the low back, flushing the kidneys, the filtration system of the body. At the end of that 3rd breath, it's really important that you move slowly. Stack your body back up over your hips and just take a moment in upright. Let your shoulders soften. And if you're anything like me, you might need to physically use the hands to scoop up your legs. And we're going to make our way into a tabletop shape, so onto hands and knees. So I'm going to use my bolster or my cushion or whatever it is that you might have handy, long ways across the mat here. It really depends on the surface upon which you're practicing. I'm on carpet and have my yoga mat, so there's no problem for my knees here. But if you're on a harder surface and your yoga mat is a little thin, if you're even using one, you might like to take a blanket or something for underneath your knees, just for a little bit of extra support there. But before we move into anything, we'll move from the tabletop just into 3 really slow, juicy rounds of cat and cow. So inhale breath, sinking through the belly, lifting through the chest. And as you breathe out, take it into the cat pose, just a soft cat. Inhale breath, cow pose. Exhale breath, cat pose. Release the weight of your head fully so that the neck can lengthen. One more time here, cat pose. And cat pose around the spine. Making your way into neutral, and we'll move into the next shape, which will be melting heart pose or anahatasana. So start to walk your hands forwards, keeping the knees stacked right over your hips. Move this so you can still see. Hands are coming forwards, the chest is melting down, and I like to have the bolster just underneath my armpits for a little more support. If you're going for a deeper opening, you might not use a cushion or a bolster underneath the body. It's totally up to you and what feels comfortable in this moment. If you're sort of a little more flexy and you want to add in something here, you could take the bolster a little further forward and place it underneath the hands, bringing your forehead down to the floor. It's definitely a more intense version of the shape. And then could you feel almost as if the heart was hammocking? Letting the heaviness of the heart descend towards the earth. They say that this full moon is about balancing the energies of the head and the heart. And so could you preference your tenderness here? Your capacity to be open and at ease. And having identified the appropriate shape with this slingshot of the heart down, and take a few moments to pause in stillness. Let the sensation be as it is. You might feel the energy swirling around the shoulders, the chest, the upper back, the heart. Remaining calm, soft, open to what is. And take 3 more slow, mindful breaths. And at the end of your 3rd breath, you'll slowly press your way out of the shape and into child's pose, your hips to your heels. You might like to take your knees a little wider. Maybe you slide a cushion underneath your body. Enjoying the opposing action of the spine now rounding. The sensation of curling in towards oneself. Could you take this moment to nurture the quality of your energy, nurture the quality of your emotions and your mood, just as they are. If your head has been turned to one side, you might like to turn it in the opposite direction. And we're here just for a few more breaths. And let's take a breath in together. And let it fall out of your mouth. When you're ready, you'll make your way back up into the tabletop shape. If you have a cushion or something, you'll just slide it out of the way. We're going to set up for sleeping swan, and we'll start on the left-hand side. So you might know it as pigeon pose. You're going to bring your left shin forwards, and then you're going to slide your right knee back. Just look down and make sure that your left knee is a little wider than your left hip. The sort of more that you tuck your left ankle in towards your right hip, the more subtle the stretch will be. And so we'll just stay upright for a moment. The rain has just started pouring down. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's beautiful. Close your eyes. And if this shape just isn't feeling appropriate for your knees or your hips for any reason, you're welcome to lay down and take the figure four shape on your back. Props are there for a little more nourishment if you wanted to slide a block underneath that left hip. And in just a moment, not right now, but in a moment we will fold forward. So if you'd like to have something to fall into, you might like to set that up. Stay upright just for a couple more breaths. And see where else in your body you might be able to soften. It might be your brain, your jaw, any clenching of your glutes. And then let that softness ripple forward into some expression of a forward fold. And then just be. Just be inside of the moment that you're in. Making sure that the level of sensation that you're experiencing, which is hopefully around your outer left hip, maybe slightly along the front of that right thigh, is appropriate enough for you to remain still and quiet for the next 3 minutes. And allowing the weight of your body to be fully held by the earth. And we carry so much weight, so much responsibility, so much care. See here if in this moment you could just be. Let the weightiness of your inner world be held by the surface of the earth. And even as the feelings inside of your body, your muscles, your tissues, and your bones intensifies, gets louder. Recognize this as the divine energy inside of your body. The divine life that is pulsing through you in each moment. For the final few breaths, stay settled. Settled and at ease. And then moving very, very slowly. And press your way back into the tabletop position. Back onto your hands and your knees. You might rest back into just a brief child's pose, or you might move through 1 or 2 rounds of cat and cow. If it feels more intuitive to be still, to stay sensitive to the present feelings, then do that. And then in just a moment, we'll set up for the second side of sleeping swan or pigeon pose. So if you're not there already, make your way back to your hands and your knees. This time, stepping your right shin and knee forwards. You might keep your right ankle tucked nice and close to your left hip, or perhaps it moves a little further forward. Blocks, cushions, blankets are there for underneath the right hip or knee. And again, to reiterate, if it feels more appropriate to take the shape on your back, then go for that instead. Whilst the yin practice teaches us resilience, it's important that we're moving away from pain. So if anything is painful, we pull back, listening to the body. Staying upright for a moment in the pigeon pose, just establishing the boundaries of the shape and your breath. And when the moment feels right, you'll start to creep yourself forward into some version of a fold. Whatever is happening for you in this moment, let it be. There's nothing to resist here. This is your wide open space in which thoughts and ideas are bound to arise. In which silence and presence blankets it all. In and around, above and below. Silence and presence resting in the spaces between your bones, the spaces between your tissues and your fluids. The spaces between your breath. Even intense emotion or feeling is resting upon pockets of space. In this moment, could you be both? Finding 3 smooth and steady breaths without rushing, without forcing. And then upon the completion of the third breath, please make your way down onto your belly. As you lay down onto your tummy, we'll rest for a moment in crocodile pose. So the palms of the hands will come underneath your forehead and your legs will extend back behind you. And as we rebound here on the belly, feel the open pathways inside of your body, completely free of congestion or stagnation. As your inner aliveness pulses along the channels. Could you be with this moment fully? Your next breath in, feel the space of your stomach expand into the earth. The whole body exhales. And keeping the head just as low to the ground as you can manage, I'll just invite you to flip straight onto your back. And as you flip onto your back, you'll hug the left knee into your chest. Give the left knee a little squeeze in towards your body. Then we're going to take a twist over towards the right. So your left knee will fall across the body to the right. And some of you might like to slide a pillow or a block underneath that left knee. It's not quite reaching the floor. Some of you, it will feel nice to extend your left arm out towards the side. You might even tip your chin towards your left shoulder. And close your eyes. Be here. No denying or resisting. Just being with what's here. Every thought as it comes and goes. All of the worry and the angst. And all of the joy and gratitude in one space. All expressions of this one divine energy inside of us all. Very optional to add on here, you might bend into your right knee and catch hold of the foot with your left hand, cat's tail pose. If that feels like it's a little much, just leave it out and stay in the twist as it is. Not here for long. Couple more breaths. When you're ready, you'll very, very slowly untangle your legs. Come back through the center. Take a moment to let your spine flatten. And then taking your time to move into the second side. The right knee will hug in towards the chest. And then taking the knee over to the left. Maybe the arm spreads, maybe not. Eyes are closed. Trace the journey of the breath. In this space in which we slow down, perhaps inviting a sense of retrospection. It's often the same moment that we seek, or we receive the clarity in which we seek. So keep listening. Keep listening with a sense of bodily sensitivity. Less about thinking, more about feeling. And then maybe you would like to progress into the cat's tail shape. Taking hold of your bottom leg with your right hand. And we'll take a deep and slow breath in. Let it go. Untangling your body from this twist. Planting your feet flat on the floor. Spine flattens into earth. Back of the head and skull rests firmly against the floor. And then hug both of the knees in towards your chest. And extend both of your legs straight up towards the sky. And I find this shape to be particularly nourishing with a block or a cushion or something underneath the hips. And if you happen to be in close contact with a wall or a flat surface resembling a wall like a bed or a couch, you might rotate your body around and just let the legs rest against the flatness of that surface. We won't be here for too long, so perhaps only if it's convenient to do that. With the legs extending up to the sky, feel the draining of any stagnant energy from the legs pull into the space of the heart, where it replenishes, refreshes, and then recirculates back through the bloodstream. You might visualize your legs as soft flower stems, gently swaying in space. Your feet and toes like delicate petals, sensing and feeling wind and space. And just taking 3 more breaths without rushing or forcing. And then when you're ready, just sliding the knees back in towards your chest. Wrap your forearms around your shins and give yourself a gentle squeeze. And setting up for Shavasana here. And so I would encourage you, as you lay flat onto your back, to slide something underneath your knees. If you have a blanket or something you can cover your body with, go for that. Similarly, something for your eyes. And we'll rest here in Shavasana for the next few minutes. And seeing if you could allow your entire being to be embraced by this totality of life. A warm, loving embrace of your body against the textures, both inside and outside. You don't need to carry the weight of the world here. You are already deeply embedded inside of it. And it is deeply embedded inside of you. So rest. Really, truly rest. Sutra number 36 of the Radiance Sutras. Space is worthy of worship and wonder. It is the field within which everything exists. Rest your eyes in emptiness. Inside a room, a temple, even a jar. Any contained space. Throw the one who is seeing into the center. Entrust your mind to embrace the space. In a flash, all boundaries dissolve. And begin to very slowly deepen your breath. Allowing the ears to receive the gentle sound of the bell. And very, very slowly begin to move the edges of your body. And if you would prefer to close the practice on your back, then you might stay exactly as you are. If you would like to join me in a seat, then please take your time and move with extra slowness. And if you found your way into the seat, great. If you're on your back, great. We'll just spend a final moment together in this collective energy of space. Just to be. Just to be right here. Dissolve the boundaries. And what an absolute honor it is to be here in this virtual space with each of you. So if you're in a seat, you might bring the hands to the heart. If you're on your back, you might bring the hands to press on the chest. And as the head bows forward, I bow in honor of each of you and your capacity to receive your deepest rest. And so to that, with gratitude, namaste. Thank you. I'll just ask that rather than unmuting yourselves and, saying thanks and whatnot, that we close the practice in silence this evening. If it's feasible for you to do so, I encourage you to keep your phone off, close down your technology and slide into bed with as minimal distractions as possible, and just enjoy the fruits of this restful time and stay in tune with the way that you're feeling over the next 24 hours, given this, emotional time that it might be. If there's any questions about anything at all, please feel free to get in touch with me separately. Otherwise, rest well, sleep tight, and I will see you all in the near future, I'm sure of it.